I'm Sarah and welcome to my first story time. Today I am going to talk about my pregnancy journey. I have a little girl now who is 12 weeks old and I fell pregnant last year around May. We were really lucky. We fell first time straight away, so we feel very grateful and very blessed about that. The first trimester was a typical first trimester. I was really sick all the time. Couldn't really eat a lot except for toast and Rivitas, which got really boring very quickly. Luckily my husband was amazing and did everything around the house because I was pretty much on the sofa all the time, although I did still manage to go into work, which I was quite proud about because I did sometimes have to dash to the toilet and throw up and then go back to what I was doing. And actually my sickness lasted until I was 18 weeks pregnant, so it did last quite a long time. It was all great, I was so happy, and that first scan was just amazing. When I saw my baby for the first time, I burst into tears. I couldn't actually believe it, because up until that point you just have these symptoms of sick, tiredness, but you don't know anything what's going on because you can't see anything, you don't have a bump yet, and you don't feel anything other than these illnesses. It's lovely to see the baby on the screen for the first time. It's very reassuring. I was really excited for my second trimester. Everyone told me how much more energy I'd have, how it was the honeymoon trimester, and we actually went on holiday and it was great, but I was still being sick, so I still couldn't really eat anything, which was a shame because we were in an all-inclusive hotel and I couldn't really eat much. When we came back, which was end of August, the sickness did go, and I did have a couple of weeks of feeling really great. I started to exercise again, I kind of felt normal, and then it was September and a few things happened personally with sort of health issues, not mine but my husband's health, and just things that I won't go into but that were just out of my control. And at the same time I was starting to get a bump. My body was really starting to change. I didn't fit in any of my clothes, but I was too small for maternity clothes yet, so I was in an in-between phase. I just began to get really anxious, and I've always been an anxious person. I've had a history of a diagnosis of generalised anxiety disorder for about 10 years now, but it had been under control for 5 or 6 years. It really shocked me, and I didn't actually realise it at first what was happening, but oh, this is my dog. Rosie wants to say hello. Oh, okay. Can I get back to the story now? Yep, you're gonna sit there with me. I didn't realise what was happening at first. I just noticed after about 5 weeks, so we were into October, I started to feel really anxious all the time. Really, I was crying every single day, which I know a lot of people said, oh, it's just hormones, but I just knew it was a bit more than that. I didn't want to go to the shops, I didn't want to see my friends, I didn't want to leave my house. I was just struggling a lot with all the change. I've just got to let my dog out, 1 second. And I'm back. Where was I? I didn't want to leave the house or do anything, and I told my midwife, and they knew I had a history of anxiety because I told them at the beginning, and they were brilliant, and they recommended me to a local service for mental health support, and I got in straight away, and it was really good actually. I got assessed by a CBT therapist, I think, and then I ended up being referred to a mindfulness course and also for CBT. But it took a few weeks for that to actually happen, but it was really quick that I got seen to and got the service, which was fantastic. So there's a lot of support for, is it prenatal anxiety anyway. It really did help actually. I did struggle a lot through my pregnancy. I struggled with the changes, the physical changes. Your body goes through so much, and it wasn't that I was sort of getting bigger as such because I wanted the bump to grow, that was a good thing. It was just everything, the hormones, the unexpected pregnancy symptoms, insomnia, suffered with that quite badly. Luckily I didn't get any back pain or hip pain, but just not being able to exercise in general. I am a really active person. I love exercise, I always have. I love dancing, I love moving my body, and I just really struggled and I couldn't go. And I tried to go to a yoga class, a pregnancy yoga class, but I was so exhausted after work that I just could do nothing but sit on the sofa, especially in the 3rd trimester. It got really hard. I just didn't really enjoy being pregnant. and I really thought I would. I always wanted to have a baby. It was a very much a planned pregnancy. I really struggled with the fact that I wasn't enjoying it, and I thought I should be having this pregnancy glow, and I should be so loving it. And obviously I was so grateful to be pregnant, and I loved my bump and I loved the baby inside. I felt very bonded to her. We found out that she was a girl. I just really didn't enjoy being pregnant. It was not what I expected. A lot harder than I expected. I think I was really naive to think the pregnancy symptoms wouldn't apply to me. I'd prayed a lot at the beginning of my pregnancy that I wouldn't have many symptoms, and I think I just thought, that's it, I've prayed, so that's what's going to happen. I guess God had another plan for me and another journey for me to take, another path for me, which is fine, because I think I learned a lot from it all. I learned that it's okay that things can be out of your control, and it's okay for change, and it got me the help that I needed, and that I probably needed for quite a few years and buried under the carpet. And this time when I had CBT, I've had it 3 times before, this is the 4th time. This time it's actually really worked, and I really took it seriously because I didn't want to take it into motherhood. I didn't want it to affect my baby, and luckily me being anxious in pregnancy hasn't affected her at all. She is totally chilled out. She's just such a dream baby. So me being anxious did not affect her at all, which is great. I had a couple of scary moments. One where I became really dizzy. It was a Saturday night, and all of a sudden out of nowhere I was really dizzy, like the room was spinning like it had never done before, and I was being violently sick. I was projectile vomiting. I couldn't even move my eyes without being sick, so I had to close my eyes, lay on the sofa. So we rang the hospital and they said to come in, because when I had taken my blood pressure, it was really high, even though dizziness I think is usually associated with a low blood pressure. But I think I just worked myself up about it. And I live about 2 minutes from the hospital, so I'm pointing there now. I can see the hospital from my windows. But it was the longest car journey of my life. I was just throwing up in a bucket the whole entire time. It was horrendous. I felt horrific. And I was in my 3rd trimester, so I was quite big. So I stayed in a hospital overnight. I got monitored and the dizziness didn't go, although I did get some injections and some medicine to help with the sickness. But I was still being sick, couldn't eat or drink anything. Even a sip of water would make me violently throw up. And the next morning I was still being really ill. And they didn't know what it was because the baby was fine. They thought it was labyrinthitis, which is to do with your inner ear, which I've had before. It could have been that, and the pregnancy made it worse. Probably was that. I was put on some medication, some sickness tablets, and was put on anything? Oh, some like for vertigo to help with the dizziness. And I ended up being off work for 3 weeks because I couldn't even stand for dizziness. The sickness did stop because I was having sickness medication. I think it probably was labyrinthitis because by the end of it I was sort of fine again. But it was really scary because we didn't know if it was the baby at first, and we didn't know. But she was happy as Larry the whole time she was in there. And then another time was actually on Christmas Day. I don't know what had happened, but over Christmas Eve and Christmas Day I'd noticed that I hadn't felt many movements, and she was a really active baby in my tummy. She would go, I mean she's like it now, she just kicks and kicks and kicks and kicks. She is so wriggly, and she was like that inside. But I'd just not felt her for 2 days. I mentioned it to a few family members and they all said, you need to just go in and get that checked. So I did. I went in on Christmas Day or Christmas night, and they were brilliant. They checked it, and as soon as they strapped me up to the monitor that they put around your tummy, you started kicking like mad, and I felt really embarrassed, but the midwives were amazing, so kind and understanding, and they were happy that I'd come in just to get that reassurance. So those are a couple of scary moments, but other than that, it was just me that suffered. The baby was fine the whole way through, and she was so comfortable she decided not to make an appearance until 2 weeks overdue. But that is a story for another time. So that is my pregnancy journey. Yeah, it had its ups and downs. It's nice to not be pregnant, put it that way. It was nice. It's nice to be able to sleep on my tummy. It's nice to be able to get up off the sofa without my husband having to lift me up. It's nice being able to bend down and put my shoes on. All of those things that you kind of miss when you're pregnant, and then when you're not pregnant anymore and you're healed from the birth, it's just very pleasant, and you feel really grateful for all of those different things. Thank you for watching my first storytime video about my pregnancy. Next time, I think I will be telling you about my birth. Spoiler alert, I was induced. If you like this video and you want to see more motherhood and pregnancy, birth stories and vlogs, then please subscribe and I'll see you next time.